Okay, we are up and running on YouTube, so you can go ahead.
All right, thanks, Kevin. And to kick off this webinar, I'd like to turn it over to Mary O'Connor for some opening remarks.
Great. Thank you, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Mary O'Connor, and I serve as the Deputy Commissioner here in the city's Department of Planning and Development, overseeing the Small Business Advocacy Division under the leadership of Chip Hastings, the Managing Deputy Commissioner, and Commissioner Maurice Cox. I'm pleased to be joined by my colleague, Nora Curry, who serves as the SBIF Program Director, and her staff, Fareed Mohammed. And along with Fareed and Nora, we have Kevin Vargas, who works with our department's communication and marketing team. Also joining us today are our colleagues from Summer Corps. And while many of you are familiar with Summer Corps, who is on the line, I want to make sure I introduce Manny Flores, who is the CEO and president, and Sylvia Orozco, who is the program director. Summer Corps is the program administrator contracted by DPD, and they manage our SBIF program for us. I'm assuming some of you have had the opportunity and pleasure working with Summer Corps, and you know firsthand how valuable they are and what they do and how they impact small businesses and in our community. They're great partners, and I think you will have a great experience working closely with them as you go through the process of our SBIF program. Sylvia will be leading today's session, and she will further introduce to you her whole team and make sure that you get to know them and you will receive their contact information. But before Sylvia begins, I wanted to acknowledge the great work all of you are doing as small businesses day in and day out. I know that you are the backbone of our community and that you make Chicago second to none. And we are grateful for the time and investment not only have you made in your businesses, but your investment into the communities. And we realize more than ever what a risk and a challenge it is to be a small business. And it doesn't matter if you've been in business 30 years or 1 year. We all have a lot of challenges that we've been tackling. And then, of course, in addition to these challenges, just what you are dealing with now because of COVID-19 and then the civil unrest impact that it has had on so many of our small businesses owners. So I hope over the last several months you've had an opportunity to take advantage of the resources that Mayor Lightfoot had brought to our small businesses, such as the Resiliency Fund, the Micro Business Recovery Grant Program, and then most recently, the Together Now Fund. Mayor Lightfoot and her administration know the importance of our small business community and the impact they have on our community. So her administration is always making it a priority to make sure that our businesses, our small businesses, are thriving during these challenging times. And of course, in that same spirit, our commissioner, Maurice Cox, has also made it a priority for DPD to make sure small businesses every opportunity that we support them during these difficult times. And that's why we are reintroducing the SBIF program to many of you and hoping you can take advantage of some grants as you rebuild and remodel your businesses. So Sylvia is going to give a deeper dive of what the SBIF program is. But before that, I just want to give you a brief overview of the SBIF program. It's a citywide economic development program with a 20-year track record. We have invested over $100 million into over 1,600 small business owners and property owners. The program participants can receive grants between 25% and 75% for remodeling, and you could get a maximum grant up to $100,000 for commercial properties and $150,000 for industrial, and these grants do not have to be repaid. So in the wake of civil unrest, our team here at DPD and the SBIF, we looked at the 911 calls over after the civil unrest, and we identified 17 SBIF districts that were impacted the most through the civil unrest. My apologies. And so we wanted to make sure that we offered the SBIF program to everyone and to help you again remodel and rebuild. We here at DBD, Summer Core, many of our community partners and anyone who's utilized SBIF, we trust it, we see how successful it is, and we hope this will be a tool for you to utilize as well, and you have the same great experience. I encourage all of you to continue to use our office and Summer Core as a resource. Our team is happy to assist you along this journey. I also encourage all of you to utilize your local community stakeholder groups and delegate agencies that represent your local business communities. Our office works closely with many of these groups in the different communities, and we are nothing less than impressed for how they continue to set up and step up and advocate for their communities and their businesses. I encourage you to get to know their staff. I think you should join their email list. You should participate in their webinars as well as their networking. It will benefit your business in the long run. And I think I speak on behalf of all of them that their doors are always open and they are happy to assist you along your journey. If you're not familiar who these partners are, please contact our office and we are happy to make that introduction. With that, I will turn it over to Sylvia, and thank you all again for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Mary. And again, my name is Sylvia Orozco. I am the Program Director for the Small Business Improvement Fund. Along with my colleagues, Savannah Allen and Anastasia Williams, we administer this program together. I'm proud to say that I have worked for Summer Core on the SBIF program for the past 15 years and assisting hundreds of existing businesses, landlords, and startups. Summer Core is a non-for-profit small business lender that offers SBA 504 loans. We administer the city's Small Business Improvement Fund program, as well as the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund program. Our purpose is to guide your vision to reality through impactful financial solutions. That's because business growth, job creation, and community impact are our priorities. Now in its 20th year, as Mary mentioned, this is one of the city's longest running and most successful programs of the city of Chicago. We've helped retain and expand small businesses in nearly every neighborhood of the city and dispersing $100 million in grants. That's pretty exciting. So please be advised that this is a non-residential program. The grant cannot be used for capital or operating expenses. It is specifically for infrastructure repairs. So now we'll go ahead and get started with today's presentation. So our presentation today will focus on what is TIF, what is SBIF, who is eligible, what are eligible expenses, what's the application process, what are the requirements and restrictions, and what's the payment process. Tax increment financing. What is TIF? Tax increment financing is a special funding tool that's used by the city of Chicago to promote public and private investment across the city. The funds are used to build and repair roads and infrastructure, clean polluted land, and put vacant properties back to productive use. It's usually in conjunction with private development projects. The funds are generated by growth in the equalized assessed valuation of properties within the designated districts over a period of 23 years. TIF, and what does it do? Funding levels for specific projects are coordinated with area plans and goals. When an area is declared a TIF district, the amount of property tax the area generates is set as a based equalized assessed valuation. As the property values increase, all property tax growth above that amount can be used to fund redevelopment projects within the district. So some of these projects include business retention and attraction, public works projects, SBIF program, and the TIF Works projects. TIF Works program. Here we have a map of the districts that will be opening in July. I will zoom in so we can see that just a little bit better. Here we have the Bryn Mawr, Broadway TIF, River West, Washington Park, 47th and Ashland, 79th Street Corridor, 79th and Southwest Highway, 79th and Vincennes, 87th and Cottage, and Commercial Avenue. So these are the specific TIF districts that will be open for accepting applications in July. Here we have a district a list of districts that will open in August. I'll zoom in so you can see it just a little bit better. We know this map isn't very clear, definitive on whether or not you qualify. So if you're unclear, you can always visit our website for a special tool that will allow you to look up your specific property. You can always reach out to Summer Corps via phone or email as well. So for August open districts, we have Madison and Austin, Midwest, Ogden, Pulaski, 43rd and Cottage Grove, 47th and King, 63rd and Ashland, Avalon Park South Shore, and 119th and I-57 redevelopment. SBIF Organization. This is a City of Chicago grant program. All SBIF eligible districts and funding must be authorized by City Council. DPD oversees the program of which Summer Corps administers. And Summer Corps works directly with the local agencies and the applicants in processing the applications. Our SBIF overview: grants for permanent building improvements for small businesses within select TIP districts throughout the City of Chicago. This grant will provide a rebate of 25, 50, or 75% of eligible cost. $100,000 is the maximum reimbursement for commercial applicants or landlords. $150,000 is the max reimbursement for industrial applicants. $50,000 max per applicant in a multi-tenant property with a limit of $250,000 per property. SBIF eligible applicants. The following consists of the eligible applicants and the items we take into consideration to determine eligibility. So for a property owner, we would take into account their personal net worth, which would be cumulative between all owners, as well as their liquid assets. Commercial lessees are eligible. We would take into account their annual sales requirements, gross sales from their tax returns. The industrial lessees, we make sure that they have a maximum of 100 full-time equivalent employees, and this will include all employees if there are multiple locations. Both business and property owners are eligible. So we take into account, again, if they own the property, their personal net worth and liquid assets as well. Vacant properties, you can apply for a vacant property. It does have to be leased up before we can disperse any funds. It's a minimum of a 60% leased up, 100% ground floor level, must be leased by a SBIF qualified tenant. And we'll get into the details of who would qualify as a tenant and applicants a little bit further in the presentation. Sliding scale eligibility for a landlord. If you're applying as a landlord, you must not have any ownership interest in the business leasing the commercial space. All individuals with 7.5% ownership or more, their interest is evaluated. Their net worth, if there are multiple owners, we take into account the cumulative net worth. So if combined, it's less than $2.5 million, you'd qualify for 75% reimbursement. If the net worth is between 2.5 and 4.5 million, you would qualify for 50% reimbursements. If the net worth is between $4.5 and $6 million, you'd qualify for 25% reimbursement. If the net worth is greater than or equal to $6 million, you would not be eligible to participate in this program. Additionally, eligible considerations, we would take into account liquid assets. Liquid assets would have to be less than $500,000. Again, for vacant spaces or for landlords, the lease-up requirements must be met before we can disperse the funding. And this will also be applicable to industrial property owners that lease any part of the property to a third-party tenant. Sliding scale eligibility for a tenant. They must be leasing for a minimum of a 3-year term from a building owner with no financial relationship. There must not be any overlap with property ownership. Their sales requirements must be less than $3 million in order to qualify for 75%. If their sales are between 3 and 4 million, they would qualify for 50% reimbursements. Sales between 4 to 5 million would qualify for 25% reimbursement. Greater than or equal to $5 million, you would not be eligible to participate in the program. Startups are eligible if the business is new The projected income statement will be used to apply the sales schedule. The business plan will also be required. Eligibility for industrial applicants. They must have less than 100 full-time equivalent employees. They automatically qualify for a 50% reimbursement. If you are an industrial landlord, if the applicant owns an industrial property and also leases any portion of the industrial property to a third-party tenant, if this is basically an income generator, the landlord sliding scale will be used. SBIF reimbursable expenses. These are some of the items that SBIF can cover. It's not all inclusive. This is just to give you an overview idea of what we can cover. We can cover roofing projects, storefront and facade improvements, masonry repairs, tuck pointing, building systems, including HVAC, electrical and plumbing systems, interior renovations, rough and finish carpentry, complete gut rehabs, interior work, ADA compliance improvements. If you need to enlarge your entry door opening to make it ADA accessible, if you need to add a ramp to make it ADA accessible, if you need to enlarge your restrooms, ADA compliance improvements are eligible. Environmental remediation projects are eligible. Permanent signage, we can cover structural aspects of the signage. So let's say you have a boxlit sign. We can cover the boxlit sign. We can cover the installation, the electrical work that goes towards the sign to make it light up, but we wouldn't be able to cover the business specific panel. So that would be the only exclusion. We can do land purchase. The land purchase can only be used by a business owner who currently owns their property, who operates out of that property and is looking to purchase a land or property that's directly adjacent to the real estate to use it as a business expansion or for parking. Ineligible business organizations. These include national chains, large retail businesses such as McDonald's. I'm sorry about that, such as McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, bank branches, etc. Those types of businesses are not eligible. Currency exchanges, payday loan stores, places of worship, including churches, liquor stores, bars, startup banquet halls, astrology and palm readers, hotels and motels, home-based businesses, trailer storage, junkyards, and similar uses. These are the types of businesses that are not eligible. So that includes you're not eligible as an applicant, and also these would not be eligible tenants as well. If you're a landlord looking to use the SBIF program to fill in, a vacant space, these types of businesses will not be eligible. They do not qualify. Non-reimbursable expenses. We do not cover any new construction. We don't do additions or expansions. We don't build up either. If you have serious chronic building code violations through the circuit courts, we will not be able to proceed with an application for you. These will need to be addressed before you submit an application with us. Cosmetic upgrades, minor repairs, and standalone projects. If you simply want to just refreshen the place, paint it, do new carpeting, do minor interior, office renovations, those types of items are not eligible. Equipment related expenses, including personal property and permanent items such as computers, phones, kitchen appliances, cash registers, furniture, those types of items are not covered through this program. We also do not cover parking lot improvements, landscaping. As I mentioned previously, business specific signage we cannot cover. Perimeter security fencing and work on residential units are not eligible. So here we have a SBIF grant sample project. So let's say, for example, your total project is costing you $50,000. $30,000 of that work is going towards masonry improvements, and $20,000 is going to the roof replacement. So if your total costs are $50,000, if you qualify for 75% reimbursement, you're looking at a rebate of $37,500. So an additional advantage that we have here with the SBIF program is the projects can be completed in up to 3 phases. So for example, let's say you don't have the full $50,000 available to you. You're running a business, you need, capital, you need money reserved. So we'll give you the option to break it out in multiple phases. So if you submit your documentation for your completed masonry project for $30,000, qualifying for 75% reimbursement, you'd receive a rebate of $22,500. That $22,500 rebate can go towards the $20,000 roof replacement project. So we can do that up to 3 times. So SBIF funds can also be assigned to a lender. You can have a bank assignment written so that the proceeds of the grant go directly to your lender to pay off the portion of your loan. Here are a few of our recent projects. Here we have Fig Cafe and Custard. Here's a before and after. There's a complete renovation of both interior and exterior. They are located in the 79th Street Corridor TIF District at 1004 West 79th Street. Here we have Agencia y Notaria Cadena. They are in the 47th and Ashland TIF District. Again, they have a full gut interior renovation as well as a facade renovation. They're located at 1642 West 47th Street. Here we have Panamericana Auto Parts and Repair, located at 5430 South Ashland. They're located in the 63rd and Ashland TIF District. So they had a complete facade renovation. They also did some interior repairs, restructuring the interior, creating a new large seating area, as well as a walk-through entryway. Here we have the Roscoe Company. They are at 3535 West Harrison Street. The Roscoe Company has utilized the SBIF program multiple times over the years. These pictures here specifically show the lighting retrofit that was done. They are in the Midwest TIF District. SBIF exterior work requirements. There is a work requirement for exterior work for commercial grantees that will be receiving over $25,000 in SBIF funding. At least 10% of the grant funding must be put towards the exterior improvements. So this would mean it would need to have masonry repairs, storefront improvements, signage, things of that nature that will enhance the look of the building. That will count towards the exterior work requirements. There could be a possible waiver granted if the exterior work was recently updated and or no exterior work is needed. And if interior work is substantial, if you're doing complete building systems, concrete work, structural work, things of that nature, it's large of a project and a project where the exterior work is not necessary, you can possibly be granted an exterior waiver for this portion. Going green with SBIF. Ways to save money with energy efficiency. Insulation and high efficiency furnaces and water heaters would dramatically cut down energy costs. People's Gas and ComEd both have programs that you can participate in at the same time that you're participating with the SBIF grant. So you can receive rebates from us as well as from People's Gas and ComEd. And it's always best to look for Energy Star ratings on the equipment. It is required for industrial businesses, but not for commercial. But it's always best to make sure you have an Energy Star rating so that your equipment is energy efficient. And also high efficiency lighting will cut down drastically on your electrical bills as well. Compliance. You do have to abide by the facade design guidelines. You must have a City of Chicago business license. You must not have any debt to the city. If you have any back taxes, parking tickets, administrative hearing fees, things of that nature, it would have to be paid for before you can receive approval to get started with your work. An economic disclosure statement as part of the application will need to be completed. Since this program is funded through TIF funds, the property taxes must be current. A grant recipient affidavit must be completed upon receipt of your grant reimbursements, stating that you will not relocate or sell your property within at least 3 years from receiving the grant. You do have to have the proof of land ownership or a minimum of a 3-year term lease on the property. And basically that is to protect you from the landlord, so that you don't make renovations to someone else's space. 6 months down the road, they turn around and say, okay, I need the space. We can lease it to someone who's going to pay a higher rate since, it's nice and fixed up now. So that's the case. If you have any other direct city financial assistance, it will be deducted from the total grant amount with the exclusion of TIC works. So for example, if you are a single commercial tenant, if you qualify for $100,000 reimbursement, but you've received $20,000 from another program, that means your maximum SBIF assistance would be $80,000. And for startups, you must follow through with your business plan as initially submitted with Summer Corps. So if you submitted a plan to build out a cafe, 1 year down the road, we don't want to drive by and see that it's turned into a nightclub. So basically we want you to stay in compliance and follow through with your plan as initially applied. Other SBIF criteria: the contractors must be licensed by the City of Chicago and insured. They must provide these documentations up front. We do provide the minority and women-owned contractor list, and we also provide technical assistance by Summer Corps. Payments, project completion requirements. So as proof of payments, we will ask you for detailed invoices for the work that was completed, copies of canceled checks, and final waivers of lien. And we conduct site visits both before the project is approved and once the work is completed. And we also request copies of the building permits. So once we have all this documentation in, it usually takes anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks for the grant reimbursement to be processed. Our SBIF timeline, specifically for this open acceptance period, we will accept applications starting today through August 14th at 5 p.m. So the first stage would be, let me go back. So on August 14th, let's say we have all of the applications in. If there's more funding requested than what we have available, we will conduct a lottery. The lottery is conducted when there's not enough funding compared to the applications that we've received. So we literally assign each application a number and put it in a fishbowl, pull it out, and start processing the applications in the order that they're received. So there's a possibility that either you can be fully funded, you can be partially funded, or you can be placed on the wait list. That wait list is good for 2 years. So if within those 2 years, someone doesn't use the funding that was allocated to them, or if the City of Chicago happens to replenish these TIF districts, the people who are on the wait list will get funding before we open it to new applicants. So let's say we do not have to have a lottery in this area, so we'll proceed with the applications with sending out a stage 1 letter. That will request additional items to complete the application, and you'll have 20 days to furnish these additional items. The second stage, you'd have 120 days for your construction planning and cost estimate submittal. So for that, you need architectural drawings. We'll need to see those. We need a minimum of at least 2 contractor bids for the same scope of work. The contractors, again, must be licensed by the City of Chicago. They do not have to be located within the city, but they do have to have a license to do business in the city, and they must also submit their certificate of insurance. So please note that stage 1 and 2 must be completed before approval of grant funds can be fully considered. There is an application review process. The conditional commitment letter will be issued if the project is approved. So the third stage, as we refer to it, will be where you'd have a new deadline. Within 120 days of approval, you do have to submit the proof of financing. So we want to see that you have at least 50% of financing available to you. You can submit a bank statement or commitment letter. So basically we want to know that you have the funding to move forward with the project. Otherwise, we may need to just move on to the next applicant who may be ready to move forward with their application. And you have a full 300 days to complete the construction. So again, reiterating the July open districts, the deadline is August 14th at 5 p.m. Please verify that your property is located within a TIF district before you submit an application. Again, this can be done through visiting our websites, clicking on the Are You in a SBIF District tool. You can always contact our offices via email, give us a call, however it is, but I do want you to verify that your property is located within a TIF district before you send in your application, and also to make sure that it's within the open acceptance period. So here are the districts that will be opening in August. So starting August 3rd through September 4th, I do apologize, I put in the wrong date here. So we will begin accepting applications for these specific districts, which are 43rd and Cottage Grove, 47th and King Drive, 63rd and Ashland, 119th and I-57, Avalon Park South Shore, Madison Austin, Midwest and Ogden, and Pulaski. So these TIFs will be open in August. So we cannot accept any applications prior to August 3rd at 9 p.m. and we cannot accept them after September 4th at 5 p.m. So we do want to let you know that we are having another webinar. It will be hosted on August 5th at 1 p.m. So again, just to reiterate, the deadline for submission of the July openings is August 14th by 5 p.m. The applications must be received by the deadline by Summer Corps. They can be submitted via email at sbif@summercorps.com. That's SBIF@SOMERCOR.com. And here's our contact information for myself, Savannah Allen, Anastasia Williams, and our liaison, Nora Corey, at the Department of Planning and Development. Thank you very much for your time. Now we'll take it to Q&A.
Thanks so much, Sylvia. I appreciate it. So just a reminder to everybody who's participating in the webinar today, you are welcome to type questions into the Q&A box. Alternatively, you can use the raise your hand function, and if I say your name, you will be allowed to speak and interact that way. But as a quick general question for Sylvia to start, what kind of documents or information should you be prepared with when you're getting ready to apply as it relates to your finances and licenses and things like that?
Okay, so things that you should have readily available are the past 3 years tax returns, personal financial status. We do have our own personal financial statements. If you have one that's already put together, that you've put together, or your bank has put together, as long as it's dated within the last 90 days, we can accept that. We ask for City of Chicago business license, a copy of the lease if you are a tenant. If you are the property owner, we'll ask you for a copy of your deed or title insurance. So there's a few other items that will be part of our request. So it would be a affidavit of child support form, which we'll have on our end. That is a requirement for everyone who is part owner of 77.5% owner of the property or the business. It's mandatory that we request this information for everyone just to make sure that they are not behind on any child support payments. So this is applicable to everyone regardless of what their family status is. So even if you do not have any children, it's still required.
That's great. And just to clarify for the entire group, a few quick notes. One, everybody who is an attendee here today will get an email at the end of this presentation that will have a copy of the slides as well as a link to the video that's being recorded right now. Additionally, for all of the resources that that Sylvia spoke about today, including the list of current SBIF districts that are coming open, as well as where to find out if you're in a SBIF district. It's just SomerCor, SOMERCOR.com/SBIF. And then Sylvia, another question is, let's say, their property is not in a SBIF district that's opening in July or August. One, how can we find out, or how can folks find out when their district is opening? And, is there any way they can know if their district is going to be opening again soon?
Yes, they can always check our website. On our website, we have a list of districts that will be opening for the current month, as well as advanced notifications for districts that will be open the following month. So they can submit their information through our website. They will be placed into our database as an interested party. As a courtesy, we will reach out to them to let them know when the districts will be open to accept applications.
That's great. And as an additional reminder, you can also sign up for the SBIFgram, which is the monthly newsletter that SomerCor sends out with this information. That's also at somercor.com/SBIF. We did see a question, obviously Mary kicked off talking about all of the great resources that the city has put together now for small businesses. Could you once again clarify if you are allowed to apply if you've, say, received funding already, either through any of the other grant programs or NOF?
For NOF, you cannot apply for both NOF and for SBIF. For other programs that you've applied for and received city assistance from, basically that amount that you received previously or are looking to receive will be deducted from the total amount that you could receive through SBIF.
Great. If you could, again, clarify the lottery process just in terms of its per district and how that process actually works, how folks will be notified.
Okay, so with the lottery, let's say we have $500,000 in a specific TIF district. Let's say we received $800,000 in requests for applications. So if we do not have the $800,000 to cover that request, we only have $500,000 available. So we assign every business a number, put it in a fishbowl, pull it out of that fishbowl. So we start processing the applications in the order that they're selected. So again, someone may be fully funded, partially funded, or be placed on the wait list. So once we know that we have to have a lottery in that specific area, the applicants will be notified via email. The lottery is open to the public. You will be invited. You will be notified in advance of when that will take place. You do not have to attend. Either way, we will let you know what the results are, and we'll contact you as soon as we can to start the process. Or if you will be placed on the wait list, we'll send out a wait list letter to let you know that you've been placed on that list. And again, keep in mind that the wait list is good for 2 years. So, just don't lose hope. If you're put on the wait list, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, we can call you and say, hey, we got your application. We didn't have any money then. We have money now. Are you ready to move forward? And then we'll go from there.
That's great. I have some questions that I'm going to keep going through here. This question is the program available for purchasing a property for my business? So actual property purchase.
It is not available for actual property purchase, but again, SomerCor is a SBA lender. So if you're looking to purchase a property, you can always check with the SomerCor 504 program and we can assist you with that. So you can use both the 504 loan program as well as the SBIF program jointly.
Great. Another question is regarding the 2 contract requirement, but I think also it can be helpful to clarify that this is a reimbursable grant. So can you talk a little bit about in terms of eligibility, if you've already started a project, does it have to be at the beginning of the project? And let's say you've already started a project with some contractor, do you still need to get a second quote?
Okay, so we cannot cover any work that's already been completed. We can't retroactively pay for anything. So if you've already completed it, we can't reimburse you for it. So if you're in the middle of a process of a project right now, it depends on how far into it you are. There's a possibility that we can, maybe do something down the road that you're looking to complete your HVAC system a month from now, 2 months from now, electrical work. So if there's still a portion that's far from being completed, you can apply for that, get the approval, and proceed that way.
Okay, great. So I think we talked a little bit about it, but the question was, is this program every year? So can you just talk a little bit about the life cycle of SBIF districts?
Sure. So it's not exactly every year. Every TIF district has a specific amount of funding designated. So we do new rollouts when there's a new allocation of funding, and we continue to reopen the district if there's additional funding available to the applicants. So it's not on an annual basis, but as long as we have money, we try to open up every district at least quarterly.
Great. I've got another question, and this is regarding sort of eligibility for a particular property. If a commercial property borders the SBIF district, the official mailing address places it along the edge of the district, not inside it, but it is along the commercial corridor that's being targeted, could it still be considered for funding?
Unfortunately not. If the property is not within the designated boundaries, it would not be considered for reimbursement.
Okay, great. The next question we have is, and we spoke at the beginning about additional documents that you should have on hand and be prepared with. And one of them was a personal financial statement. The question was if the SBA Form 1919 is something that you guys would accept.
It may be. We'd have to take a look at it and see if it covers all the information that's on our forms. If it basically matches up with what it is that we're looking for, then we could possibly accept it. Otherwise, we'll request that you complete our form.
Okay, great. So this, I think we talked a little bit about this, but so the question is, if another funding source exceeds the amount that the applicant is looking for with SBIF, that they will not qualify because the eventual award would be lessened by other money received. I guess this is only the case for if they receive funding through other city programs?
Correct.
Okay, great. Let's see, the next question is, let's say that you apply and you are not funded in that round. Are you allowed to modify your project to reflect current needs and then reapply, or even just reapply with the project as you originally submitted?
So if we don't have any money to move forward with it, if you're placed on the wait list, I would suggest, just keeping your project as is and waiting for us to contact you when money is available to proceed with it. I mean, even if you are starting off with a $100,000 project and in the end you say, okay, I'm only going to do 30,000. If we don't have the funds available, unfortunately, we couldn't proceed with the application. So regardless of what the request is, if the money's just not there, we can't start the process.
Okay. The next question is just regarding eligibility. Can nonprofits be eligible for this program?
Yes, nonprofits are eligible as long as they're located within the specific TIF districts and they meet the other parameter requirements. Nonprofits are eligible.
So I have a question here actually from somebody who is not a business owner, but actually serves a lot of business owners, wanting to know if there are any other public events that they can use and share our information. And I will say that, my name's Kim Brisky. I'm the Director of Communications at Summer Corps. If you are tied to any groups that deals with businesses who you think can use this information, we at Summer Corps and at DPD want to be your resources. We are willing to do public as much as they can be at this point, webinars, presentations, answer Q&A. If we can be a resource to help get the word out on the SBIF program, we will do it. So I know Sylvia will go back and show our contact information later, but you can also just reaching out at honestly, it's spiff@summercorps.com is also a general email. You can send it to us there. Oh, perfect. Thanks, Sylvia. So then a next question. So the question was about how often districts change. I think we talked about that a little bit. So there are 17 districts that are eligible here in July and August, and then there will be a next round after that point. Is that correct, Sylvia?
That is correct. So every month we'll have a new set of TIF districts that are open for application acceptance periods. So you'll have 1 month advance notification for districts that will be opening the following month.
Excellent. I think we have a question from somebody on here regarding the contract requirements, wondering if an applicant can also be a general contractor on the project.
Yes, they can. In this case, we typically request 2 bids to be submitted. If you are acting as your own GC, we do need to have a copy of your GC license and certificate of insurance on file. And we'll also request that you submit 2 additional bids along with your bid.
Great. I think this next question just wants to talk a little bit about, I think, the funding process. We know, again, it's a reimbursable grant. We know that how you can receive different amounts of funding based on, your actual personal wealth and, again, how much you actually are putting into the project. But I think the question is sort of how much in terms of your own money do you need to have available to put into the project at the start?
So basically the way you have to look at it is you have to have full funding upfront. Now, it is a reimbursement program. In the end, you can receive up to 75% reimbursement, but initially you do have to have the full funding available to you, or at least, a large sum that you can do the phase breakout as I had previously mentioned. So you do need to have some funds available, but ideally, basically the way you have to look at it is you have to have all the funding available to pay your contractor upfront, and we'll reimburse you accordingly if you want to break it out in phases, or if you want to fully complete your project, one lump sum, pay all your contractors for all the work that's done, we can do it that way as well.
Right. And as a nonprofit CDC, we also have relationships with banks. So if you're looking for, and other suggestions for, so if you're interested in learning more about personal financing of this, we can also try to provide some resources and point you in the right direction that way. I think that question just popped up. Are there preferred lenders, bankers? We do have some of that information on the summercorps.com/SBIF website, but also, it's not just bankers, think outside the box. We've got a lot of community partners like CNI, LISC, CCL, do really great work and can assist in this matter. Here, the next question is, how long is the reimbursement process?
It varies. We basically try to work at your pace. On average, most projects are completed within 18 months. We have our set deadlines. If you want to move forward with those specific projects, we have the deadlines. If you want to move quicker, we give you 4 months to submit your contractor's estimates. If you have those 2 weeks after we request them, you can go ahead and submit that information there. So I've seen projects completed as quickly as 6 months, and some that can take as much as 18 months or probably even longer. Okay.
And also just a quick question about the size of the grant. We know that the 100K is the largest, but is there any type of exemption that you can get to get a larger grant? Let's say if nobody is applying for the funding in the district.
No, unfortunately not. It's either $100,000 max grant for a single commercial property, $50,000 max per applicant for a multi-tenant property, or $150,000 reimbursement for an industrial business. So the max cannot exceed those stated.
Excellent. All right. I wanted to just again say, if there are any other questions, please feel free to use the Q&A box. And I'm going to see if I don't see anybody who has used the hand up elements. I was going to say, Nora, Mary, Sylvia, and Savannah, do you guys have any additional pieces of information that we should be sharing with everybody here on the call?
This is Nora. Hi, I just want to make sure, I think somebody said that you can't apply for both NOF and SBIF at the same time. I just wanted to clarify that you can, but they do reduce dollar for dollar from each other. So just
Thank you for that clarification, Nora.
Pardon me?
Thank you for that clarification.
You bet.
Additionally, it's for separate work. Right? It can't be for the same, like roofing for NOF and then the same roofing project for SBIF. It has to be separate work items.
Indeed. Thank you.
And then I would just also want to remind everybody that summercore.com/SBIF is really should be your first place to go. That is an area where you'll be able to find the actual application, all the rules that we went over today, the ability to find out, is my property in the SBIF district? Am I in a district that's going to be opening up at what time? When can I sign up for the SBIF grant? So all that information is there. And I am, let's see.
There is a hand up, Kim.
I actually don't think I have can you actually, so Sheila Padla, I think you're going to be the one, Nora, that has to allow them to speak. I don't have that.
Okay, let me see how to do that.
I think you just click right on it.
There we go. I'm trying to anyway. Let's see. Kevin, can you, or Paul, can you?
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
Sheila, would you like to speak?
Shayla, you may not have a, don't know what happened there.
Oh, well.
May not have a microphone, so sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. We do have just a few other questions that just popped on. I think somebody asked, is there a function to search your actual location? Yes. If you go to summercore.com/SBIF, you can enter your address in, and that will be able to tell you if you are in a SBIF district. This question probably might be a little bit more helpful maybe for Mary and for Nora, just to talk from a city perspective about how often TIF districts are redrawn. Are there, in terms of as commercial corridors change, do TIF districts and SBIF districts change?
I am not an expert on that. They do sometimes change. They do get amended. It doesn't happen that often. SBIFs and TIFs are exactly the same. SBIFs are within the boundaries of TIF districts. The boundaries are exactly the same. They do not generally change a whole lot. They do change occasionally, and we do put new TIFs in place occasionally. So that would be something to pursue with elected officials, I would say. And with the folks in charge of planning, you can certainly feel free to follow up. If there's something specific, I would encourage you can send me an email. In fact, if there's a specific area of interest, and I'll be happy to connect you with the right people for that. And that email is right there on your screen. nora.curry@cityofchicago.org.
Great. I think I don't see any other questions. Oh, if you were raising your hand, unfortunately, the microphone function is not working. So please, if you could shift over into the written Q&A, that would be great. A question is sidewalk repair eligible for the eligible type of repair?
Unfortunately not. It is not eligible. We can only cover what is within the existing footprint of the property itself.
And a little bit on that question, Sylvia, to just kind of jog people's memories, if you want to maybe, or inspire them, obviously, we know Brewer Custard, which was one of the projects that we featured earlier, talked like that they were sort of a gut job inside and out. If you can talk a little bit about some of the services and types of construction that they use to maybe just inspire folks about what you can actually use the project for.
Sure. So what you can use it for are storefront renovations, masonry work, if you need tuck pointing done, if you need to rebuild your facade wall, if it's leaning over, those types of things can be covered. Interior renovations. We can cover building systems, electrical, HVAC, new flooring. If you need to change the layout of the building itself for better functionality for your business, we can cover those types of things. We can also cover roofing as well.
That's helpful. I think somebody was wondering if they had two projects within the same entity, so the same business owner, they have two different businesses in two different SBIF districts. Could they apply for both at the same time?
Yes. Yes, these
Mhm.
grants are specifically targeted per property. So if you have 2 different properties within the same TIF, you can apply 2 separate times for each property. Or if they're within different TIF districts, you can also apply for those there.
Excellent. Excellent. I believe that I don't have any additional questions again. Oh, somebody else just popped up. The question was, I think I saw a parking lot on the ineligible list. Does that include handicap parking?
Yeah, can you go, this is Nora again. Sylvia, can you explain parking? I think that does get confusing because there's some parking, some parts of parking we allow and some that do not. So maybe you could outline what's allowed and
Yeah.
what.
We actually do not allow any parking renovations whatsoever. So if it's private or if it's, public land, we do not cover any parking lot renovations.
Permit the purchase of land for parking.
We do allow the purchase of land for expansion of the parking lot itself. We would reimburse for the purchase of the land, but we would not reimburse for the build out of the parking lot itself.
Great. I think, let's see. I don't see any additional questions. I was going to say again, I open back up to Mary and Nora and Sylvia and Savannah. Are there any other items that you want to make sure that we highlight here?
I do want to make everyone aware that I speak Spanish. So if you or anyone else that you know that is a Spanish speaking business owner, they can always contact me. I know sometimes they feel more comfortable speaking with someone in their native language. So I just want to put that out there and let everyone know that I speak Spanish.
That's great. And again, this is again, Kim with Summer Corps. And I really do want to emphasize as well that, we work, hand in hand with the city day in, day out. And so if you have any questions that you felt weren't answered here, feel free to send us emails here or visit the website and send it through our general email or sign up for the newsletter. Our goal is to get this money out the door to help small businesses. So we want to do what we can to support you in that effort. We just had things. I apologize. Sorry. Sorry, Sylvia, not off the hook yet.
May I say one more thing, Kim, before we
course.
answer more questions? We will, as people need to leave, because we are half an hour over. I do want to reiterate, this is Nora one more time. Mary did point out at the beginning of the conversation today that you do have this great resource in Summer Corps. You also have wonderful resources in your local delegate agencies, your chambers of commerce, your community development corporations. I think several of those folks are still on the call. I saw Jin Lee from Albany Park. I saw Rana McFarland. I saw Christina from Edgewater. There are a number of people here. Definitely reach out to them. Definitely reach out to Summer Corps. Don't hesitate if you have any. I see there are plenty of questions, but don't hesitate when you have a question about your application. If you have a question about at any stage that you're in, always ask the question. Don't delay. Don't miss the deadlines. Don't put in the application not knowing. Make the call, send the email, ask the question. We're here to help you. It's better to know and not go through a lot of trouble than just make the phone call. We will always give you our best answer.
Absolutely. And again, I think it's always better to ask when you're not unsure before you take action. It's a lot easier to make sure you have a correct charted course ahead, as opposed to trying to undo something if that made it more difficult. So just a heads up for that. Let's see, going back to the questions, somebody asked, can a restaurant use a SBIF grant to build outdoor dining space?
They cannot use it to build outdoor dining space, but we do make an exception for restaurants where we can cover walk-in coolers or freezers. So that is an exception to the equipment rule for restaurants, but we cannot proceed with any exterior patio work, new deck outside or anything like that.
Somebody wanted to know about if you are able to purchase city-owned property using a SBIF fund if it's adjacent to commercial property.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Okay. somebody has a very specific example. So just again, as a reminder, anybody who participated today in this call will receive an email with a link to the presentation as well as to a video. And they just wanted to know that they're leasing a property that was originally a furniture store and it is now a nail salon. So they just want to make sure that they are eligible to apply if their location is within a TIF district.
Yes, they can apply.
And so far that seems to be, everybody's being very sweet. I appreciate all. But I don't think we have any additional questions at this time. But again, as a reminder, the presentation as well as the video will be emailed out. Additionally, summercore.com/SBIF, SOMERCOR.com/SBIF is where you can find all of our information.
And
Yeah.
additionally, too, if you have a general question, you can also email the general SBIF inbox, which is just SBIF@summercore.com. If you have just eligibility questions on top of emailing us individually, and then we can also just verify if your location is in a SBIF district if you're unsure with the boundary lines.
The question is, who do you contact to host informational sessions on this? You can, my email isn't up there, but if my teammates can send it to me, or my name's Kim Brisky and my email is K, B as in boy, RISKY @summercore.com. I'm happy to help coordinate any additional sessions. But I would also encourage you to promote the upcoming session that we're having on August 5th as an alternative. Okay, I think that we are all squared away then.
This is Mary again. Just on behalf of Summer Core and the Department of Planning and Development, I just want to thank all of you again for joining us today. We hope that you found the webinar informative and useful as you look further into utilizing the SBIF program to assist your business. And as everyone has mentioned on this call, please do not hesitate to contact any of us. If you have any questions, we are happy to help however we can. Again, thank you again, and we want you to continue to stay safe and healthy. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.